What about respiratory problems?
Helpful with respiratory problems.
So you're asthmatics, you're emphysemics.
Yep. So I'm asthmatic, and I have to say, when I was doing it, it really did help a lot. COPD I think it would just be very much harder for somebody to do it, but there's no reason why they couldn't, and I don't think there's anything there that would be contraindications.
Right. Okay. And
so to give you an idea, one of the ways we measure that, so we do, as part of a consultation process, we do a FEV1 score, so a spirometer and blowing, and you always see significant improvements in FEV1 scores. So a forced expiration, so ability to expel air.
Yeah. I suppose one of my questions, I'm always one of these people who wants to find out whether these things are useful. I mean, is forced expiration a useful thing to be able to do?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
It's
the only easy measurement that we could. I mean, the other thing is doing the Bolt test, which is ability to hold your breath and how long. So we often start off a bit of an icebreaker. We'll start off with getting people to hold their breath. We'll have a big clock on and just note how long you've held your breath for, and we'll see. Some people are 5 or 6 seconds. The first go, because it's so.
This is holding your breath after exhalation, which is much harder. After an exhalation,
which is a sign. Patrick McEwen, who do you know Patrick McEwen? So he's a big breath researcher and publisher. He's got a couple of books. The Oxygen Advantage would be one of them. Some of your viewers might know of. Very
the
interesting.
Oxygen Advantage.
The Oxygen Advantage. I think there's another one as well. But if you Google the Oxygen Advantage, you'd find him. He says, that you ought to be able to hold your breath. If your breathing is functional, you ought to be able to hold your breath for 40 seconds. There are very few people who can do that first time round. But if you do hypopressives for a short, relatively short period of time, you can do that.
And does that mean that they'll be able to hold their breath with full lungs as well for a lot longer? I presume it does, because their oxygen uptake and tolerance of carbon dioxide will be better in all circumstances, won't it?
Yes.
And I'm just thinking of those people who particularly want their free divers or whatever.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's an interesting question, because this is very different, because we often have people who've done other breathwork training. So do you know Wim Hof? Have you heard of the Wim Hof method? So Wim Hof method is very different, because what Wim Hof does is he doesn't care whether you're breathing through your nose. He just wants you to expel all the carbon dioxide. So it's very quick breaths. And you'll find that if we did it now, you did short, sharp for 30 seconds, and then you held your breath, you probably hold it for well over a minute. But that's very different, because you've got rid of all the carbon dioxide. Yeah,
it's also one of the things they advise you not to do if you're diving, isn't it?
Yes.
Because it's actually the stimulus to breathe that has been removed, not your need for oxygen.
Can be potentially. Well, this is why they say don't do it near water, because obviously the other thing he does is cold water therapy.
Yes.
So we get a little bit confusion around that sometimes, because our breathing is about CO2 tolerance and the ability to cope with build-up of CO2.
Right.
So his is the complete opposite. Get rid of the CO2, and then you can hold your breath for a long time.